publicly thank Sheriff Price, who has assigned 2 deputies to College Heights to bolster our force, so that, like several of you have sent me emails, hey, while we're all at the meeting, what's happening with my house? You're all on the same page there, so just maybe give you a little bit more peace of mind. I kind of have my own general agenda, which I think fits well with the mayor. My name is Chief Baker. I've met a lot of you. Some of you I haven't. And I think probably most people, if they've been in Chestertown any time, know Lieutenant John Dolgus. I'd like to say first that this is something that I take very seriously and personally, really. I understand how it feels not only to lose your property, and that's not insignificant, but the sort of psychological violation is probably the worst part of feeling insecure in your home. In some cases, you know, these burglars have entered and the residents have been home. So that after the fact thing is very disheartening. I understand and appreciate that very much. I'm going to kind of do 3 things. Go over what has happened, and specifically I'll kind of run down the general addresses of where these burglaries have occurred, what the police are doing, and then lastly what you citizens can do to help us. 2 years ago when I was sworn in my little speech, and I meant this, because the population of Chestertown is 5,000, I said I will have 10,000 eyes and 10,000 ears to help you. I don't have 10,000 in here, but there's about 600. So that's great, and that's the way I'm approaching this. My guys will be patrolling. I'll be here all night if you want, but I really think a reasonable kind of goal here is I think we can easily do this in an hour. But I'll stay as long as you want. If you want to talk to me afterwards, that's fine too. So we're going to talk about what's happening now. There were a lot of hands that were raised when asked, has it affected me or someone near me or whatever. And judging by that, I would have had an impression that the number is not, is higher perhaps than it is. I will say, in the scope of being a police chief, as egregious as this is, there are some municipalities that are counting murders and really horrible things. Not that this isn't, but let's be thankful that it is what it is. I feel I had a conversation with a couple citizens who, and I really appreciate that, and I think this way too, have the Chestertown in their heart and think that it can't happen in Chestertown. I've lost faith in Chestertown. Don't lose faith in Chestertown, and please don't lose faith in the police department. It's kind of like telling my daughter about Santa Claus in a way. This is really reality, that no matter where we live, crime can happen. We'll do our best to minimize it, and so hopefully some of the steps that we take tonight will be in that direction. So we've had 18 cases so far, and 5 of them are vehicles. We had a very similar rash, if you will, last year. And I think the numbers were probably similar. I think it was more skewed on the vehicles and less on the residences. And they have occurred on Birch Run Road, David Drive, Birch Run Road again, Campus Avenue, Washington Avenue, Kent Street, Mount Vernon, Kent Street, Mount Vernon, Cedar Street, Philosopher's Terrace, Greenwood, Glen Street, Rolling Road, Pine Street, Cedar Street, Rolling Road. So in your mind, you can kind of see where that goes. And then chronologically, it kind of started, or it did start, around Kent Street and Mount Vernon, and then it kind of went across 213. And that's where the most recent incident, and by the way, this started on the 15th of June. Here we are on the 3rd of July. And the most recent incident was Sunday evening. In that case, someone attempted or made entry, an alarm sounded. They had their home alarm protected and they ran out. So nothing was taken. And I also might add, in probably 5 or 6 of these cases, nothing was taken. they made entry and didn't continue. So I'm counting it all as in our statistics, but it's not quite as bad as it may present. In most cases, it was entry. I'll tell you, in all cases but one, entry was made through an unlocked door, an unlocked window, one resident, an open door. They don't believe in closing their doors either. And in some cases, screen doors were cut, but the window was open or unlocked. And then, as I recall, there was one locked door or two that were locked, but not really by any substantial lock. It was a matter of kind of jiggle the door and they were able to enter. Now, so what are we doing as a police department? We have increased our patrols. We have reached out to our allied agencies. We have spoken to our neighbors and our citizens, and this meeting is very, very productive to further that effort. I would call on you that you may have heard the term harden the target. And in this case, quite frankly, your homes and cars are the target. So the most basic thing that you can do to minimize any future occurrences is lock your doors, lock your windows, lock your cars. I've heard from some people, and I never really thought of this, but some people, I take it for granted, I guess, their home's not air conditioned. So they're like, hey, I'm hot, I got to leave my windows up. I understand that, and I'm not being critical of anybody that does or doesn't do that. It's your business, but I'm just telling you that you're more vulnerable, obviously, if your windows and doors are unlocked and open. So hardening the target is with regard to your house and vehicle. There's kind of like three enemies to a burglar, and that's time, noise, and light. Time is alter your time, and I'm not telling you anything that people don't already know, but maybe someone might take notice. If you leave at 8 o'clock every day and you get home at 4:15 every day, it doesn't take long for someone to recognize that maybe between 8 and 4:15 might be a good idea to burglarize your house. I do believe that these suspects are near the area and in a position that they are somewhat familiar, although I'm not totally opposed to the thought that they just sometimes randomly go and hit a spot. It takes a matter of minutes to walk up to a house, go in the door, grab the iPhone that's being charged on the counter, and run out. Maybe even seconds, really. So it's frustrating to us because we're out there, we're looking. I personally have been in town in lots of different capacities, including walking my dog, running. If anybody heard a motorcycle running around all last night, that was me. My officers are out in every way that we can be. And I'm not making excuses, but even doing that, this still can happen within a matter of minutes. So we need to do our best to follow some of these steps. Noise. Leave your radio on, leave your TV on. Things like that. Just a little, might make the little difference where they think they're going to go in and then they say, well, I'm not sure if that's somebody, like talk radio, put it on talk radio. They're not sure if it's somebody that's in the house or if it's the radio that's talking. Light, I think this is the most important, or certainly one of the most important things. Criminal elements do not like light. They like the dark alley, they like the out of the way, behind the tree, behind the shed, behind the building. So the better lighted an area is, not only does it steer them away from coming, but it also makes it easier for us to see. I'm a big fan of motion detector lights. And I've told a few of you my story. My grandmother had one on her barn, and I, as a young man, would go down there and deer hunt. And I would drive in the lane at 5 o'clock in the morning, not wanting to wake up my mom. and I drive by and poof, the light will come on. And every time I'd be, geez, the old lady got me again. And I knew it was a motion light, but that sense, that immediate sense of that light flashing on, I think instills a sort of fear and a concern, like, was that a motion detector, or did somebody just flick that light and what's happening next? So I would